Today on Rappler, the government tells Filipinos leave Libya now after the gang rape of a Filipina nurse. Is the Philippines ready to deal with the Ebola virus? And Turkish women turn to social media to protest an official's call telling them not to laugh in public. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The Philippines on Thursday tells Filipinos in Libya, get out now. The sense of urgency goes up a notch after a Filipina nurse was kidnapped and gang raped. The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, says 13,000 Filipinos in Libya will be repatriated as clashes continue between rival militias. The DFA also confirms reports a Filipina nurse was kidnapped outside her home on Wednesday and gang raped by 6 men. A Filipino consular team took her to a hospital for treatment. The Philippines ordered its nationals out of Libya on July 20th, the same day the body of a beheaded Filipino construction worker was found at a hospital in the port of Benghazi. Reports say the vehicle the Filipino was riding was stopped at a checkpoint. He was allegedly singled out because he was non-Muslim. Portugal, the Netherlands, Canada, and Bulgaria are some of the countries that evacuated citizens or closed embassies in Tripoli. Is the Philippines ready to deal with the Ebola virus? Fears that the epidemic could spread to other continents grow, putting European and Asian countries on the alert. On Thursday, Philippine Health Secretary Enrique Ona assures the Philippines can make an early diagnosis if the virus reaches this country. He says a kit to identify the virus is available. If a Filipino is diagnosed, a laboratory test will be conducted which the World Health Organization, or WHO, can validate. The Ebola virus can be transmitted through body fluids. It causes severe fever, muscle pain, weakness, vomiting, and diarrhea. In some cases, it also causes organ failure and bleeding that won't stop. The virus can kill victims in just days. The WHO says there are 1,201 cases of Ebola and 672 deaths in the West African countries of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. Philippine airports have thermal scanners to detect fever in arriving passengers. Passengers are also asked to fill up a form to determine if they're coming from countries with the Ebola outbreak. Hong Kong also announces quarantine measures for all travelers from Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia showing Ebola symptoms. Senator Nancy Binay says her father, Vice President Jejomar Binay, is not asking for President Benigno Aquino's endorsement for the 2016 presidential elections, but she says he won't turn it down either. In his State of the Nation address on Monday, Aquino recalled the time he was ambushed in 1987 with Vice President Binay.
My father was mentioned during the SONA na hanggang ngayon hindi nakakalimutan ni Presidente Aquino na during, I guess, yung darkest hour niya, ang kasama niya ang ama ko.
While Vice President Binay is already leading in surveys for the 2016 polls, his daughter says it will be, quote, icing on the cake if Aquino endorses him. Observers point out Vice President Binay is in an awkward position politically. He leads the opposition while openly saying he supports Aquino. He also sits in the president's cabinet. But the Binays have not ruled out a coalition with the administration. Senator Binay says her family's ties with the Aquino clan remain strong even if they're on opposite sides of the political fence.
Aquino, Binay, for us, it goes beyond politics. So, kung magkaroon naman ng difference pagdating dun sa mga polisiya, kumbaga trabaho lang yun, di ba? But at the end of the day, yung personal relationship namin will not get affected.
Vice President Binay was a supporter of the president's late mother, Cory Aquino, who appointed him mayor of Makati during her presidency. The two were together in the anti-Marcos struggle. In his State of the Nation address, President Aquino highlights significant gains in the Philippine economy under his watch. From 27.9% during the first semester of 2012, the poverty rate went down to 24.9% in 2013, a 3 percentage point improvement. Aquino says this is equivalent to 2.5 million Filipinos crossing the poverty line. But Ibon Foundation's Jose Enrique Africa says Aquino chose partial indicators that give the wrong impression of progress.
Supposedly there was a 3 percentage point improvement in poverty. Based on that little movement in the first semester of 2013, the president was confident to say categorically 2.5 million people have been lifted out of poverty.
Yes.
It's a bit tricky because the poverty line of the government for the first semester of 2013 was 53 pesos. 53 pesos buys a kilo of rice, maybe 3 or 4 pieces of pandesal. So if the government is saying that for the price of 1 kilo of rice and a few pieces of pandesal, you're no longer going to be poor,
You're not considered
that's going to be
poor.
a problem.
Africa also hits the Aquino administration's flagship poverty alleviation program, the Conditional Cash Transfer, or CCT, a cash incentive program for poor households that requires recipients to send their children to school. But Africa says the CCT is a short-term solution that fails to address the historical roots of poverty, like inequities in political and economic power.
Okay siya as a palliative. Pero is poverty just about a sequence of palliatives? Is poverty reduction about a series of charity and dole-out measures? It's not eh.
Asked about Aquino's big sin of omission in his administration's fight against poverty, Africa says it's agrarian reform. Although he notes some gains in distributing land to farmer beneficiaries, Africa says the government should have mentioned the lack of support services to farmers.
The government should also have mentioned that right now, 3 out of 4 agrarian reform beneficiaries cannot actually amortize the land that they were supposed to have been given. That's a significant number. 3 out of 4 agrarian reform beneficiaries are not able to pay for their land. So the countryside has the highest unemployment rates, has the worst poverty levels, has the most backward economic systems. Agrarian reform would have given the big push to actually start resolving that.
President Aquino didn't mention the Freedom of Information or the FOI bill in his State of the Nation address, but it's included as one of his priority bills. On Wednesday, Malacanang submitted to the House of Representatives its list of priority legislation. The list includes the proposed BANGSAMORO Basic Law and the 2015 budget. Also included is the supplemental budget for programs affected by the Supreme Court ruling on the Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP. The court declared 3 schemes in the DAP unconstitutional. It's been 10 months since the bloody siege in Zamboanga City, but more than 25,000 people remain in evacuation centers. Thousands still await the government's promise to rebuild their homes destroyed in fires inside the combat zone. A July 21 Situationer reports most of the displaced have been living in bunkhouses and temporary shelters in the city grandstand. Over 2,000 more families are temporarily renting houses or staying with relatives. Among them are hostages taken by followers of Moro National Liberation Front commander Javier Malik when they swooped into the coastal villages of Zamboanga City in September 2013. The standoff with government forces lasted 20 days. In his State of the Nation address, President Aquino says those displaced by the siege will start moving into permanent houses in August. But his promise is only for the 45 families in one subdivision. The rest, thousands more, will have to wait for permanent houses until June 2015. 3 weeks of unrelenting Israeli strikes in Gaza pushed the death toll to 1,360. At least 17 people were killed and 200 wounded in a packed Gaza market Wednesday. The air raid came as Israel observed a 4-hour humanitarian lull. The rare pause in attacks was supposed to allow Gaza's battered population of 1.8 billion to safely stock up on supplies and for medics to evacuate the dead and the wounded. But Israel says the truce does not apply to areas where troops were, quote, currently operating. The deadliest strike that day was at a school run by the United Nations in northern Gaza. Israeli tank shells rammed into the school, killing 16. Washington condemns the UN school attack even as it agrees to restock Israel's dwindling ammunition. Israel is mobilizing 16,000 additional reservists Thursday to bolster its forces in the Gaza Strip. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, the U.S. House of Representatives votes to sue President Barack Obama for allegedly overstepping his powers. With a vote of 225 to 201, the Republican-dominated House votes to take Obama to court for not following the law while implementing his health reform bill, or Obamacare. But Obama dismisses the suit, saying, "Instead of suing me for doing my job, I want Congress to do its job and make life a little better for the Americans who sent them there in the first place." At number 8, from China and India to the Philippines and Indonesia, the fast-growing middle class turns upwardly mobile, leading to a boom in tourism in the Asia-Pacific. As airlines set up budget carriers and fly new routes to accommodate the market, many airports are unable to cope, forcing governments to either expand or simply build new airports. International tourist arrivals in Asia-Pacific grew an annual 6% to 248 million last year. And at number 9, Singapore's youth suicide rate shows little sign of dropping in 2013. Suicide prevention group Samaritans of Singapore says a widening disconnect with family members is to blame. The group says 100 people below 30 years old committed suicide in 2013, a small change from the 101 in 2012, but it's still nearly double the 58 people in 2011. People under 30 account for an average 20% of those who committed suicide in the past decade. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Hollywood actor Orlando Bloom versus Canadian pop star Justin Bieber. Entertainment site TMZ.com reports Bloom punched Bieber in a restaurant Wednesday. A video shows Bieber's bodyguard was able to deflect most of the blow. U.S. news sites report the fight was over Bloom's ex-wife, supermodel Miranda Kerr. Following the confrontation, Bieber posted a photo of a crying Bloom on Instagram. The post gets 550,000 likes in less than a day. For our social media post of the day, Turkey's Deputy Prime Minister Bülent Arent draws flack for saying women should not laugh out loud in public. During a post-Ramadan celebration Monday, Arent said, quote, "She should not laugh loudly in front of all the world and should preserve her decency at all times." This sparks outrage on social media. Photos of Turkish women laughing make the rounds online using the hashtags Kahkaha or laughter and hashtag Direnkakaha or resist laughter. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. If we take a look, these are the 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter, and it is a red day. If you take a look today, we've got the Ebola scare in Europe and Asia. You have 13% sad, a whopping 81% afraid, and then 2 stories here. Red, the story that's gotten the most number of votes in the last 24 hours, Libya, the Filipina nurse kidnapped and raped in Libya's Tripoli. You have 5% sad and a whopping 86% angry. That red, bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, July 31, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.